The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has imposed an indefinite no-fly zone over an area in Arkansas recently affected by an oil spill. It sparked concern that the ExxonMobil oil company may be trying to keep the TV cameras away from the scene. RT's Marina Portnaya has more for us now, live in the States. Marina, why would a no-fly zone be imposed over an oil spill? It's not exactly a war zone, is it?
It's not a war zone whatsoever, but the Federal Aviation Administration, they say that the indefinite no-fly zone, which they're calling a temporary flight restrictions, was put in place as a hazard warning. Officials say this is so emergency support are able to respond to the disaster immediately. Now, the FAA's online posting noted that only relief aircraft operated under the direction of Mr. Tom Suroff are permitted in the area. Now, according to his LinkedIn profile, Mr. Suroff lists himself as an aviation advisor for ExxonMobil. He is not an emergency expert or a safety official. This, of course, has caused many critics to speculate that the real reason behind this indefinite no-fly zone is to minimize news coverage that can further damage the reputation of ExxonMobil. Now, on April 1st, the first day that this indefinite no-fly zone was put in place, an aerial video surfaced online revealing the extent of the horrific damage of this oil spill. According to ExxonMobil's press release, the spill has totaled upwards of 10,000 barrels of crude oil as of Monday. The company has deployed 15 vacuum trucks, 33 storage tanks, and 120 workers, at least, to the cleanup site. We also know that at least 22 homes have been evacuated so far, leaving dozens of residents seeking shelter elsewhere.
And ExxonMobil, they're saying they're already paying out compensation. So who's getting this money?
Well, that's what ExxonMobil says, but RT recently spoke with a Mayflower resident, Chris Harrell. Now, Mr. Harrell told us that he has not received any indication of any kind of compensation or settlement offers from ExxonMobil. Mr. Harrell said that on Sunday, when he went home briefly for Easter here in the States, he received a letter on his front door from ExxonMobil that apologized, quote, apologized for the inconvenience. Mr. Harrell said that those that have been evacuated are being provided the hotel rooms paid for by ExxonMobil. But at a community meeting that took place over the weekend with some Exxon officials, Mr. Harrell says that very few answers were given, and all those in attendance were very frustrated, very angry. ExxonMobil has not indicated how long cleanup will take. Mr. Harrell told RT that the major concern for many people in the neighborhood is the longer-term impact from the spill, both environmentally and financially. What will this circumstance do to property values in that area? Most residents, according to Mr. Harrell, who we spoke with, didn't even know that ExxonMobil's pipeline ran through that streets. And the pipeline we're specifically referring to can carry more than 90,000 barrels of Canadian heavy crude oil per day from Illinois to Texas. So that is something that most residents in the community were not even aware of, that pipeline was going through their neighborhood.
Just finally, there have been bigger oil spills than this in the past. What's the usual reaction from officials and the companies involved?
Well, look, the bigger the oil spill, the bigger the news coverage. And of course, this oil spill taking place in Arkansas is not as big as the one that took place in the Gulf of Mexico a few years back. But the concern for many people, especially residents that are directly affected by this oil spill, is that it's not going to receive the coverage that it needs to receive to find those responsible for this oil spill accountable. This is still a very disastrous oil spill that's going to harm the community, harm the environment, harm, as Mr. Harrell told RT, property values. And if the media is not given access to cover this oil spill, to cover the extent and the damage and the circumstances of it, then there may be less accountability. That is the major concern. And at the end of the day, those that are affected by this, and I think citizens all throughout the United States, want to know why it took place, what could have prevented it, and if someone's responsible for this, they should be held accountable.
Live in New York, RT's Marina Portnaya, thank you very much indeed for that update.